And hello, and welcome into another edition of the Let's Go Devils podcast here on a Sunday night. It is I, Scotty, along with the Baron of Beer, hanging out with you here, talking some Devils hockey, talking some playoff hockey. I didn't see. We're in a commercial break. Did someone score in the Lightning and Habs game?
I will tell you.
I know it was going to OT there. And I thought they didn't, or maybe they're still in the intermission. Nope, 3-3. Still got a power play going on for the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know why the hell we're in a commercial break over here, unless my TV did something funky. Maybe it rewound or something. I don't know, but either way. And we got the Bruins and Sabres right now. Bruins are up 1-0. On the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, the Habs did win?
Yes, I was trying to say that. I was trying to tell you.
Why is my app says 3-3 here? Way to go, NHL app.
Slavkovsky scored a goal.
There it is.
Power play goal.
Funny, they have it here. It's just so you can see. It says 3-3, and then look right underneath it. It says Slavkovsky goal.
Which gave him the Hattie. That gave him the hat trick, too, by the way. So he scored the second, third, and the deciding fourth goal. And that goes a lot of people.
That's a natty. That's a natty hattie, then.
That's a natty hattie. No, there was a goal in between. Hagel had a goal in between, so that's not a natty. It's not a natural natty.
I thought it was only 3 for your team. It has to be 3 in a row?
3 in a row without being interrupted. Watch, I'm probably wrong about that, but anyways, yeah, buddy. We got some playoff.
I thought it was just 3 in a row. But either way, it doesn't matter. Still got the Hattie.
Doesn't matter.
And yeah, the NHL app is behind things right here, right now.
Slaffy.
So yay!
Slaffy. That's not
and hello to everyone on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and X going on. I'm logging in here, the old YouTube chat right now to say hello to everybody. Chirp away in the chat. Max, Ted, Steven Engel, Selecta, Roman, Corbin, Wimpy, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, some news going on there, along with the playoffs. I heard we got a new GM.
Did we? I don't know. Yeah, we did. We got a Jersey boy back in the house now. We're going to get a little bit further into this, and we'll talk a little bit deeper into that. But I want to say it's pretty wild having a guy that grew up in state, that's a fan of the team, now going to be the GM of the team. As we all know, and it's been kind of like, sorted out and publicized about how the Devils going into the GM search. He was one of the number one targets. There were a couple other names that were thrown around, Jamie Langenbrunner being one of them. But in the end, it seems like they got the guy that they were really targeting right away. By all reports, Toronto was really heavily, going after Sonny as well. But the Devils land their boy, and I
heard something different on that one, but okay.
Oh, did you?
I heard.
Go on.
Maybe our boy Sonny was, just throwing that Toronto Maple Leafs option out there, in the negotiating phase of the
smart man. He's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Oh, he's playing some high stakes poker is what he's playing, my friend.
That's what he is.
And if he's written a couple books about the art of playing poker. I'm sure he had plenty of nights down there in old Atlantic City at the high rollers table. Maybe at Caesars or something like that.
He was
racking up some money. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was in a bunch of those tournaments and stuff like that. I'm sure somewhere you can go back to like ESPN 8 the Ocho and find some of the poker tournaments. Remember when that was
World
so
Series
popular
of poker
for a couple years?
Dude, I remember every night you get home from the bar and you turn on ESPN, it would be the World Series of Poker, and you just listen to them play with their damn chips the whole time. And either put you to sleep or drive you absolutely insane. But yeah, I used to watch it too. I could sit down with the best of them, and then you watch the movie Rounders, and you're like quoting every line from that movie. But yeah, dude, it brings in a very analytical mind who was a part of the Devils organization a couple of years ago. before he left the organization to go and join the Florida Panthers, where he had a lot of success in helping them build that, 3-time going to Stanley Cup team, 2-time defending champion Stanley Cup team. And he had a lot of, from what I understand,
not defending anymore. So
not anymore. Yeah. Well, I think they're allowed going 3 times in a row. They're allowed to have a little break there. But from what I understand, he was very instrumental in getting Matthew Tkachuk onto the team and to kind of like restructuring how that worked. Obviously, he wasn't the GM; he was the assistant GM. So who knows how much say he actually had in that process. But it's going to be interesting. He's coming in. He's going to bring a completely fresh, look on this team. But there's also some other areas that are a concern. Is he going to bring in somebody like a Brendan Shanahan who's going to be the head of hockey ops, or is there going to be somebody as Martin Brodeur going to take that position? Does he need somebody at the round table that's going to have, a hockey player's mentality, somebody that's been in the sport, that's gone through it, that's gone through, the process
he played
and all that kind of stuff.
Not professional,
not at the NHL level.
Not at the NHL level, but he still played. I mean, he knows what's up. He knows what it's like to go out there and lace up the skates and get on the ice and everything. So, just don't forget about that. Yeah, he was never an NHL level player, but he did play hockey throughout, his high school and collegiate careers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he actually laces him up with Billy Dean in that beer league as well.
Yeah.
He's Billy Dean's arch nemesis. Yeah.
Is that an actual story? I wish we could get him on right now and just be like, tell me, did you ever lace him up against the Devils GM?
No, I'd rather hear from Sonny about playing Dean instead.
Oh yeah. But it's cool, man. Like the one thing that I love is that you have a guy that's coming in who has like a passion for the team, right? Like hockey sense aside, like the guy's a fan of the team, so
and a connection to the old school. Don't forget, he worked with Lou as well.
Yes.
Ooh, and Ray. He was the one who found Jesper Bratt.
Yes,
he was the one who found Jesper Bratt, and he's the only one who had Jesper Bratt ranked way up there, on the charts. Mm-hmm. And he had to convince Ray Shero to go ahead and draft Jesper Bratt when they did in the 6th round. But Sonny had him scouted like in his like top 5 or something like that. I think I read, or maybe it was like top 3 that he had Jesper Bratt scouted 3 that year, and nobody else did. Like nobody in the league. And look at what a find that turned out to be.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is he has, a great eye for talent and things like that, because that year was the year that they drafted McLeod and Bastian 1-2 in that draft. And we all know how that unfortunately worked out. But yeah, he did nail, he did have Bratter up there, at an earlier level more than anybody else did. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does, with this draft coming up, because there's a lot of things that need to happen. First of all, the draft lottery is on May 5th, I believe. In between then and now, he has to make some decisions on some coaching. He has to make some decisions on personnel. I know he's going to be introduced officially on Tuesday. So I can guarantee you, especially if Sam Wu was a part of NJ.com, if the question comes up, are you going to stick with Sheldon Keefe? I can almost guarantee that question's going to have to come. And
sure, of course.
As of right now, I don't, who knows what the answer is going to be. Does he let him roll one more year, or does he let it try to, does he want to bring in his own guy?
I mean, that's always the situation for every new GM. I feel like most coaches, if they haven't been there like a real long time, Sheldon Keefe's only been here 2 years. And, as we know, with this team, there's been a lot of injuries both years. Mm-hmm. I think he might end up getting a pass for a year, which you do see pretty often. Maybe they, a new GM will let a coach stay that extra year to see if they can prove themselves or whatever. And if the similar results happen, then they're going to be out the door, and the new handpicked coach will come in. We'll see how that all plays out. Maybe Sonny has got some guy up his sleeve that he really wants. I think what he'll probably do is have some good, long, hard talks with the core of this team. The Nico Heishers, the Jack Hughes, the Timo Myers, the Jesper Bratts, maybe the Brett Pesci's, and see what they feel about playing under Sheldon Keefe. I think that'll be a discussion that happens, and I think there'll be a big basis for the decision like that. If those guys come out and they're just like, I hate playing in this system, then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Sonny's just like, all right, let's just start fresh. But if Sheldon Keefe has support from the team, especially the core, then I have a feeling he'll get one more season to go out there and show that he can make a difference and that his system is the best for this team and he knows how to coach it and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But that's what I think it'll come down to is the players. If the players are just like, man, I don't care either way, or in the negative, then he's going to be gone. But if he's got a positive support from that core, then he'll get that extra year.
He'll get that extension. By the way, huge shout out to a guy that's been here, one of the guys that has been here from the beginning that I'm just kind of looking down and looking through a bunch of the messages coming through on YouTube Live. Big Jake. What is up, Big Jake? This dude has been around forever, so just want to give him a big shout out there. Okay, now, real quick, Scotty. Now, we kind of are on the positive side of this, but there are a lot of people that have the negative side or the negative flip of the coin of Sonny Meta coming into this. Some of them saying that when he was here with the Devils, that the drafting and the development of the players was not really that great. Outside of that Jesper Bratt, like, oh yeah, he had him slotted higher than everybody else did. They say that he got way more credit than he deserves when he went down to Florida. That he is not 100% fully qualified to maybe take over this team. That the analytics in the past have kind of driven this team into the ground, so on and so forth. So, if I'm that person and I'm coming at you with that argument, what is something that you would say back to me in defense of Sonny and getting this job?
Well, I mean, I think, prove it to me. Was Sonny the one out there developing all these players? That wasn't his role. It wasn't even his role to draft all these players. I mean, he was just the analytics and was giving his, opinions and, his research to Ray. And Ray was the one who was going out there and making the moves. Hence why Jesper Bratt wasn't drafted until the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
If it was Sonny, I think Jesper Bratt would have been a 1st-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have been Michael McLeod and Nathan Bastian round 1, round 2.
Yeah.
So I don't buy the whole, what did Fitzgerald do before he got the job? I mean, he was an assistant.
He was assistant GM in Pittsburgh, yeah. And then he came to the Devils and was an assistant GM. And he was the GM of Utica, but whatever Utica was before they were Utica. They were, God, what am I drawing a blank on that? Not Albany.
The Lowell Devils.
No, it wasn't Lowell. It wasn't Albany. It wasn't Lowell. It was where the hell were they? Right before Utica. Why can't I remember this? Anyways, neither here nor there. I totally agree with what you're saying. I think that is such an on-point statement of like the thing is you look at his track record and from what everybody else was saying, about him when he was with Florida. When he was at New Jersey, that was like the beginning of everything, right? So during that process, was he really trusted as a huge voice in a room? Was he really trusted by Ray Shero to make these executive decisions, to make these pulls on these players? Was he really, sitting at
Bingham?
Oh, Bennington.
Thank you, Samuel.
Binghamton. There we go. Yeah. And they had that weird emoji logo on their sweater. I hated so much. But anyways, I think that's such a good counter argument to anybody that's coming at this in a negative way of how involved was he when he was first here? Because if you honestly think, and you have to remember, analytics have been in hockey for quite some time, but they haven't really been a driving force. And when the Devils brought him in,
he was the first one that started all that. He was.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Yeah. That was like the beginning of it. So, do you think that they jumped in headfirst and were like, "You got it, buddy. Just show us the way, and we'll do whatever you say"? Probably not. Probably had a lot of really good advice, or and he might have had bad advice. The point being is he went to Florida. He proved himself. He got himself into a position that he was coveted by other teams. It wasn't just oh man, the Devils were like, oh, we don't have a GM right now, so let's get this guy because he's a former New Jersey native and a diehard Devils fan growing up, and he might have a cool starter jacket photo of himself when he was 13 years old that he can put on X because he's one of the few GMs that actually has an X account. No, dude, if you don't think that they did some kind of due diligence, even though we often think that the ownership of this team is a little light-sided, I think you'd be mistaken. I think this was a decision that was made based on credibility and based on merit. So I agree with you 100%.
And I think another thing too, which something we've been shouting for I don't know how long now, and I know we still complain about the ownership, but this is a guy who wants to win in New Jersey. He grew up a Devils fan. There's, he'll tell you straight out. He wants to, bring that magic back, for the first time to the Prudential Center. He wants to bring the magic of the Continental Airlines Arena to the Prudential Center. This is a dude that wants to win, not just pad my resume and, I'm just looking to just keep moving up these little steps here and there. I don't care where I am across the league. This is a dude who wanted to be in New Jersey to bring a winner back home. What have we been saying for the owners don't care if they win or not. They don't care. This guy cares about winning in New Jersey. And you can go out there. I think a lot of this stuff is probably deleted now. But this is a dude that was you can probably find old Reddit pages with him, talking with fans and stuff like that. This is a guy who was in the fandom scene. He thinks that way, but he also obviously thinks very analytical as well. But you're talking about someone who wants to win with New Jersey. We haven't had that, since Lou.
Yeah.
So I think it's been a great move. I think it was a kind of a no-brainer right from the get-go. And I'm excited, for a dude also, who seems analytical, which I think is a good thing in the modern NHL. It's, the game is different than what it was back in the 90s and the aughts. Yeah, it's a lot different. And if you're going to completely ignore analytics, it's not a good thing. Especially for a team that has been deprived of consistency these last few years.
That's the big key. That's the big key is consistency. And on and off the ice. On and off the ice, right? There's a lot of pieces that are left over from the Fitzgerald era, like Madigan and a couple other names that are in that front office that I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what changes he makes in his group that he surrounds himself with. There's a lot of people that blame certain people that were involved that were not named Tom Fitzgerald for some of the blunders that were what this team was doing. Misguided information, if you will. And I'm a huge believer that I think he's I think, personally, if I were him, I would come in and I'd clean house. Coaches, like, you know what? I agree with what you were saying before, and to kind of circle back on that conversation of like letting, giving Keefe one more year.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, say what you will, but if you look at the team when Jack came back after the Olympic break, they were playing their balls off. And there were stretches of hockey that were really, really good. There was also some real big clunkers thrown in there, and that's that inconsistency that the team kind of was plagued with all year. But
yeah,
you look at what Sonny walks into, and it's like, all right, clean the cabinets, get rid of everybody. Some names that I would keep around, if you want to keep Brodeur around, but I don't know if I want him in the position that he's in. And this is why you never want like a living legend to like work for your team, because having to fire a guy like Martin Brodeur, it's got to be pretty hard. Not saying that Marty needs has to be fired, but at the same time, like if he wants to clean house, then you start all the way fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You get your guys in there. You get people that are going to not just sit there and be yes men. You don't get people that are in there that are just going to check boxes like, oh, we got this person in here because they were born on the 4th of July and we really need a real American born player to blah 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 blah. You don't need that kind of crap. You need people that are going to make this team better. You need scouts, you need development, you need all the things that are going to make this team better. You need the European scouts that are going to go over there and find you hidden gems like a Jesper Bratt. You need guys that are going to go into the U.S. development program, guys that are going to go into the CHL. You got guys that can go into college hockey. You want guys to go in there and actually look for the talent that's not going to make you the flashy, dashy type of team. That's going to be like that, the Denver program out in college hockey that is just built to win. You don't need to have like the most flashy players. You already got a couple of those. You already got a Jack Hughes. You already got a Jesper Bratt. You need those grinded out that are going to play the game the right way, the entire 60 minutes type of player. These lunch pail guys that are going to make up that back end, that are going to make up just bring in the right people, bring in your own crew. And hopefully that's what he's going to do. That's the direction that he's going to go in.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. I think again, some people may get a pass for a little bit, but I think that's only natural. And if Sonny is not happy by the season's end, and then he's going to start replacing people with his own. Mm-hmm. But I think there will be a good, cleaning up done. And I think there'll be some fresh faces brought in. I do think that some of these, coaches and stuff like that, I know Marty and that goalie coach, but man, it's been bad for a while now, Yep. The development, they gotta fix that because they're not developing these players the right way. And we see these guys leave and go to other teams and then flourish. And I get it. Sometimes there's it's the learning curve and blah, blah, blah. And then they find their game, but it's not just one or two. It's just been a number of guys that seem to as soon as they leave, boom. Yeah. How many times this past year did X double score against us as well? Just to rub it in our face, a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
So
look at how many X Devils were on that Panthers team, by the way, that won the last cup. I think there was about 5 of them. So yeah, 100%. I agree.
So I think some people will get a pass, but I think there will be a good number of people that are just kind of let go. Yeah. And I think that's for the best. I think this team needs a whole new kind of, force in there that is dealing with things, a new voice, amongst this team, to give it some new feel, some new life interjected into it.
Which is a perfect segue to the name of today's episode is in regards to the goaltending situation and bringing in new life. And the rumors that have been floating out there of one Connor Hellebuck, which 3 years ago, apparently, according to Elliot Friedman, 3 years ago, right before he signed that extension to be with the Winnipeg Jets, he was strongly considering coming to the New Jersey Devils. So 3 years ago, he makes a decision to stay. He was having very similar feelings that he's having right now, that he's taking a lot of the heat, that the team is just not built to win, and he would like to possibly leave. Now, that's not 100% an exact quote from him, because there's a lot of, I don't know, like read between the lines type of stuff there that you have to get through, because he can always come back around and say, hey, man, I never said those words and I never meant that. It's just things being misinterpreted. But if you take a look at it, it says that, Connor Hellebuck would like to get out of town. Now, if that's the case, Sonny Meta, you have your hands full with all these contracts that you got to find a way to get through. But if you're smart enough and you can figure it out, I'm pretty sure that you can get some of these off the books, a la a Markstrom and a Dougie Hamilton to begin with. You get those two off the books, you're freeing up a decent amount of cash. And if you do that, then you might be able to swindle the Jets. But then it's going to be, well, what the heck is that going to cost you? There's a lot of future in that. There's a lot of future prospects in that. There's a lot of current prospects in that. And the cupboards aren't really stocked really well in the AHL to be like, yeah, we'll throw you this prospect and a number 3 pick, and you'll give us that. It's probably going to cost you a bigger name than what we want to give away. So is it worth it or is it not worth it? Do we take the run at Hellebuck or we don't? I don't know.
Well, I think you can look at both sides, and I know Sam and I were going back and forth in our text. Yeah, I'm on the opposite side. I'll play devil's advocate. I don't think this is a good idea.
Okay.
I think, and I do remember someone here calling for Hellebuck to be signed with the Devils 3 years ago. Me.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where I see a little difference here. Okay. So from what I read in Hellebuck's, departure email, whatever, locker room last day, clean out day, it seemed to be him talking about exit interview. There we go. That's what I was looking for. It seemed to be that he was talking about players not wanting to go to Winnipeg. That's what I read from there. Now that can, and he even said, hey, I made my home up here. I love the city, but it's difficult getting players to come to Winnipeg. Totally understand that. If you look at the Jets, the last, 8-9 years, I think they are the complete opposite of the Devils. They have made the playoffs every single year except 2. The Devils have only made the playoffs twice. So
it's true.
Right there, true. Connor, be careful what you wish for, my friend.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, too, with it. I think he is a better goalie than Markstrom. However, he's got a lot of just individual awards. When playoff time comes, the last 3 playoff runs that they had, he was terrible. I mean, bad. He was, I think his record was like 8, was it like 8-13 or something like that? Under 900 save percentage. It was like 880 something, 890 something.
Yeah, even a year they won the President's Trophy. Yep.
Bounced. Yeah. So they had the great run, the first one. They went to the conference finals. And then, they just started getting bounced in the first round after that. I think they had one other one where they went 2 rounds. But if you look at his numbers, he's like a regular season goalie right now.
Yeah.
He had some good playoff runs, but the last 3 were very mediocre at best. And he is about to turn 33 years old. He's not 27, 28, 29. On May, whatever it is, he is turning 33 years old. He still has 5 more years on that contract, which is littered with no movement clauses and no trade clauses.
Oh, so fit right in.
Well, exactly. That's my counterpoint is like, if everyone is like, oh, we're stuck with Markstrom, you're going to get Hellebuck, and you're going to be in the... Now, listen, I could be wrong, and maybe he turns it around and he turns into one of these
stud goalies on the back end of his career. But that's where he is on the back end of his career. I personally would like to see someone younger be the cornerstone of our team, a la like how the Jets had Hellebuck, and, make some runs with like that. Do I think he's an upgrade from Markstrom? Yes. But do I see, like, in a year or two from now, us being in the exact same situation again? Yeah. And he has that big money contract. That's 8.5. And I just don't trust it at this point. Like the older goalies. I think what we have with Jake Allen is nice. But for my money, I would rather see, like I said in our chat, you roll with Markstrom and Allen to start the year. Someone somewhere is likely to get hurt. See if you can maybe trade Markstrom to a team in need. Or, the Edmonton Oilers, who are always looking for a goaltender. So, and then bring up Yegorov or how do you say? Is it Malik? Malik, I think. They're both big kids. I mean, Yegorov, he seems to have struggled this past year. People say it's because, the team in front of him plays really, really shoddy defense. Okay. But he does have that number one ace kind of, prospect line there, potential. If you get a Hellebuck and you have him locked in for the next 5 years and you have Jake the Snake locked in for the next 4 years, what, are you just going to give up on Yegorov?
You're pissing away. Yeah. You're pissing away the youth that's in the system. And don't forget about Nico Dawes, who's going to be, is he a UFA or an RFA at the end of this season?
I think he's a UFA.
Is he a UFA?
No, he's got to be. I think he's a UFA now. But I mean, and that's another thing. Nico Dawes seems like he would be a great backup goaltender at the NHL level. I don't know if he could be a one, but he seems like he would be a good backup.
And so God bless Utica, because Utica almost made the playoffs. They missed out because the Hershey Bears lost today. But Dawes, to put them in the position to be even close to qualifying to the playoffs, won them 2 amazing games down the stretch here, the last 2 of the season. So, and Nico Dawes set records for Utica with the most wins and most shutouts. Nico Dawes is an interesting person, or an interesting situation, because do you want to see him take that next step? Do you start him like Jake Allen is great, and I love Jake Allen. But Jake Allen also kind of put us in a weird position, because it's like you guys didn't trust Dawes, and you didn't trust, all the guys that we have in the system to be that number 2. You thought like the Markstrom-Allen tandem was going to carry us through the entire year. Markstrom, I swear to God, since that Boston game where he got run and his knee went backwards last year, has not been the same goaltender. He was, if you remember, before that point, he was pretty lights out, and he was playing like pretty decent, or not decent. He was pretty damn good hockey. He got his knee or his leg messed up in that Boston game, and came back, after injury and all that kind of stuff, and he just has not looked the same. He's battled injury. He's 38 years old now. So the temptation of Hellebuck, yeah, it's there. Being watching the watching the Olympics and watching what he did for Team USA, the temptation is there. Seeing that, like, oh, he finally got over the hump of winning the big game in that gold medal game, the temptation is there. If it's one of those things, in my opinion, if it happens, it happens. I don't know if I'm going to be upset. I understand what you're saying with the term and the money that is going to be guaranteed to him. We don't know how much it would cost to get him. Are you cutting off your nose to spite your face kind of situation, where it's like, okay, you move on from Markstrom, but you bring in him. Yeah, he's like 5 years younger. He plays pretty damn good for 2 seasons, and boom, we start running into injury problems, and then he's older, and now we got 3 more years under him. Now what are we going to do? He has no movement clause, blah, blah, blah. And then you're 1,000% correct. We're just right back in the same position that we were with Markstrom. So it's like, do you look at it like, okay, we have Markstrom, but we only have him for another year, and then we can move on? Or we have Hellebuck for another 5 years. But it is really tempting.
And if he's disgruntled about missing the playoffs twice in the last 8 years or whatever, I mean, he needs to take a look at the old Devils record there.
Markstrom is 36. Thank you, Roman.
Like we said, it's the complete opposite of what the Jets have done. The Jets have been in the playoffs every year. The Devils have not.
Yeah, dude. Well, listen, there's a lot of heavy lifting that has to go on with this team. There's a lot of heavy lifting that has to go on, and you hope Sonny can come in and evaluate the situation quickly, because he's gonna have to pivot pretty quick. The draft lottery being on May 5th. Who knows? What if the Devils win the draft lottery again? What if they get, what if we end up with the number 1 overall pick, and then you assume, like everybody else would assume, that we're getting Sam Wu's boy, McKenna, but, there's a couple other names that are floating out there. But even if they, regardless of them, did they? I got to think about this. I think somebody needed to lose for them to be in the position to, be able to move up, the Islanders.
I don't think we can move up to the first. I don't think we can move up.
We can only move up to the second. We can only move up
something
to the
like
that.
Yeah, I don't think we can move up that far.
Way.
I could be wrong though. I think everybody in the Western Conference
That's
can,
right,
but not us. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Yeah. Well, there you go. So if you get up, but you still get up to number 2. That's a pretty good position to be into. But anyways. He's got a lot of things to sort out. He's got Nico's contract that he's got to take a look at if he wants to give him an extension after July 1st. He has a couple of UFAs that are no-brainers to just be like, all right, thank you for your service, but we'll see you later. He has a couple RFAs that he has to get figured out. One of them being Simon Nemec and what's going on with him and if he wants to be here or not. I can imagine his name being thrown out there in 1,000 different trade scenarios, during the season, before the season, and after the season.
I don't think he's. I mean, he seems to be asking for about $9 million, and I can't see him. I don't know. I just don't see that. I think he'll be moved, which will probably be a good thing for the Devils. I think because they'll be able to hopefully score some more secondary scoring. In there. And I just want to throw this out there again, just so you no, I'm not fibbing here. Okay. So, those first four playoff runs, he did well, well, actually, not really. Well, I mean, they lost. I think that could have been more. His save percentage was great. .922 in the run to the conference finals. .913, .904, .931 in 2021. But then 22-23, it drops down to .886. Is 1-4. 23-24, .864. Last year, .866. Goals against 344. On those first 4 times, he was only over 3 once. 2.36, 2.67, 304, 223. And then these other ones, 3.44, 5.23, 3.08. That gives me that, not perform well in the playoffs kind of vibe. So it's good that you can win the President's Trophy and the Jennings or whatever, and you're a Vezina, cool. But when it comes down to when the money's on the line, these last 3 years have been not what you look for.
But do you think that gold medal game, because you can't discount that tournament, the Olympic tournament, do you think that kind of got that monkey off of his back and that he could possibly be turning a page?
It's one game. It's one game.
Yeah, it's one game, but it's probably, outside of winning a Stanley Cup, the most important game of his life.
It's one game. That doesn't make a difference in the Stanley Cup playoffs when you have to win 4. Winning one game is no. How many times do you think McKinnon is going to miss an empty net?
I know. You got a valid point.
I think you got the Avengers.
You got
the Avengers Endgame. The one in the million there of McKinnon missing the, Doctor Strange looking like, this is the one! This is the one that we want! He misses the open net! I just don't see that, that one happening. When you got to play a one-game tournament, it's a totally different thing than Stanley Cup playoffs, because you're playing those series, and you're playing against teams that have been playing together for an entire season, not teams that are just kind of thrown together for, 2.5 week type of thing. You got a well-oiled machine of a team with the coach, and everyone knows what they're, it's just a different vibe. I think it could be great for him personally. Yeah, sure. But the game experience for that, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like two just completely different things, just with the way that tournament works and the way the Stanley Cup playoffs work in the series fashion. You got to win 4, not just 1.
I mean, but at the same time, listen, there's a lot of guys that are, if you look like the Aiden Hills of the world that have won Stanley Cups for their teams, is, Skinner bringing the Oilers to back-to-back cups, even though he lost. Bobrovsky finding it later in life. There's always goaltending is to me, it's it's a tricky thing to figure out, because sometimes it's you need the Shesterkin, but then you have a Shesterkin in New York, and what have they won? Nothing. And he's arguably top 3, if not top 2 goaltender in the league. You have a Sorokin in Long Island, who, if he wasn't there, they wouldn't be where they are right now. You have rookie goaltenders in Montreal right now. You have Mackenzie goddamn Blackwood.
No, I think it was Wedgwood. Was it Wedgwood in today?
Scott Wedgwood. Yeah, I think it was Wedgwood. And Scott Wedgwood, former Devils, who we had in-house. We had Wedgwood twice, by the way. Former Devils who we had in-house leading the way. But so sometimes it's not clear cut.
It could work.
It could work. Yeah. It could. But you're, and this is what makes it so hard, is you have to have the team in front of them. Obviously, Wedgwood and Blackwood are not doing that if they're not on the Avalanche. I don't care what anybody else says. They're capable goaltenders, yes. Are they true number ones? That's debatable. You have a team like the Colorado Avalanche in front of you. I think you or I could have gone out there and done a decent job in that, even though I have zero experience. Who's this guy? I don't know, but he's got.
And what you said about Bobrovsky is, you could. I mean, that's the thing, is you can see both sides of this equation with Hellebuck. You can bring him in, and he may be so insanely motivated to get out there, and all of a sudden he does have this crazy run. That's why I'm glad Sonny's in charge, because he's going to be able to look at this and try to make the best decision. He has experience with an older goaltender, with Bobrovsky down there, who did, end up playing some of his best years later on. But typically for goalies, once you hit that 34, 35 range, the knees, the legs, the hips, they just don't move as fast as they used to. And that's just part of life. But some guys are
Shakira
freak,
said,
and
those hips don't lie.
But you never know. I mean, look, we took friggin' Brodeur and Moose, Hedberg, where they're both 40-year-old goalies all the way to the cup. So
yeah. And by the way, a lot of people are like, yeah, but you lost to the Kings. We lost a couple of overtime games. There's only one game that was out of control. But that series was a lot closer than it seemed. But the LA at that time was unbeatable. They were such a good team. They came into the playoffs that year as a number 8 seed, and they should had no business being a number 8 seed in that year. They were so unbelievably talented and big and physical, and we were on the older age. Anyways, we can get into that another time.
Well, either way, but it's still
but
there were
either
two
1,000
older goaltenders who made it happen.
I agree.
So how, like if you do get Hellebuck like that, like, they really have to be sure on it, because if you get him, you're locked in. We're about to escape from the Jacob Markstrom. So do you do that? Are you that confident that Hellebuck is going to be that guy, through these later years of his career? That's the big question. If he was like 28, yes, come on, let's go. Come on over to the team. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you're guaranteed like some of those prime years still. But turning 33, whatever it is, May the 18th or 19th, it's a question mark. There's a little bit of a question mark, and with that contract.
No, I agree. It is one of those, I get, these decisions are out of our hands and we can only see what's going to happen. And if it does happen, it's not like it's going to be a big, like, oh, what the hell? Like, it's still Connor Hellebuck. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like, oh, we give him away for, some bum. Like, no, you're still getting like a top tier goaltender, who's gonna get you into those higher levels. But here's the thing too, is the team in front of him needs to be a hell of a lot better too. That bottom six is still an issue. I don't care. I love Paul Cotter. I love some of these guys that we have in the bottom six, but there's changes are coming. Cody Glass, hell of a year. I don't think he expected to put up, a career year in goals.
19 goals, I think. Yeah.
19 goals. Yeah. And he, Cody Glass is a hell of a player. I think he, deserves the right to be our third line center. And I don't think it's a bad choice.
Yeah.
Are there other options out there? Maybe. Listen, the UFA pool is not that deep this year. And I think any rebuilding is going to have to be done through, player development, draft, and possible trade. You're not going to go out and find like an organization changing forward in free agency. So it's going to be a lot on him to like move things around.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we have a lot of those forwards already on the team. They just need that extra support. And yeah, I mean, Cody Glass had a hell of a year, probably his best year, but again, with him, he's got to stay healthy. I think one of the biggest discoveries that we had here was the fact that, I mean, I didn't realize it. And I don't think maybe Sheldon Keefe didn't realize it until, later on in the season. But Connor Brown has got some wheels on him.
Connor Brown was nice with Jack.
He can actually skate with Jack and Jesper and keep up with them. That's a hard thing to do. They move at such a fast speed out there on the ice. You got to be able to skate with them. And Connor Brown has seemed to have unlocked, that achievement that, Andre Palat could not.
That's so funny because I was
just going to say, he seems to be able to create that room and space for Jack and Jesper on the ice and get himself into those, mucky positions there in front of the net to create some havoc and to create some screens. But he can also skate with them and keep up with them,
which
Palat,
is what they wanted.
Where's Palat?
Yeah.
Where's he at?
Yeah.
Connor, where's Connor? Oh, he's right there. He's right next to me. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't realize how fast that dude skates, but he skates really fast.
And that's so funny that you said that, because I was about to say, like, your rant was that's what they always expected or wanted Palat to be, and he just never was.
Yes.
He just never like lived up to that. And that also shows you, like, you don't need. Do they need top six scoring? Yep. Could they benefit from having like a sniper?
They need a healthy Jack
out there.
They need a healthy Jack.
But here's the thing, though, and Sheldon Keefe said this in his exit interview, and I completely agree with it. Is that when Jack, you can't be so centered around one player that when he's gone, your team just turns to dust. Like, you can't just. And he pointed that out. Like, dude, when Jack was here,
why does that happen?
We were great.
Why does it happen?
Of the year, Jack got hurt. We went to absolute dump, and then Jack came back, and we figured it out again. And it's like you can't be like that. You can't have a team structured that way. By the way, in his exit interview, if you kind of read between the lines, it seemed like he wasn't allowed to make certain calls, which why by the end of the year, like when a team was starting to play well and they were starting to like, you're seeing that Connor Brown line combination and other things that were happening, it definitely seemed like he was given more control of the team or given more carte blanche of like what he can do with the team. Listen, we could be dead wrong about that. He could have been controlling it the whole time and then somebody else stepped in. Who knows? But
I agree. I don't think he made all those calls.
No, and it seemed like there were certain things like shoehorning players into certain circumstances, like Andre Palat, that every time he got dropped down in the lineup, he was all of a sudden back up in the lineup, and you'd be like, but he hasn't done anything. He's not doing anything on the fourth line or the third line to achieve being on the second line. And there's plenty of guys that are healthy enough that he doesn't need to be on the second line, but here he is, the old ball and chain, holding back this line that could possibly be one of our game-altering lines, but nope. There they go again.
Did you see he got voted most disappointing player for both the Devils and the Islanders?
Yeah, 1,000%. And I've been looking on X and watching all Islander fans like, oh, like, what the hell? Like, we got to get rid of this guy. How do we get rid of him? And it's like, yeah, he's that friend that comes over and you're like, oh, this goddamn dude's like eating all of our food out of the fridge. And he's sleeping on the couch. He like took a dump in the toilet and doesn't flush it ever. Like, that's Andre Palat. He's an unwanted friend.
I got to give Steven Angle credit here for the City Slickers line there. The man ate bacon at every meal. I mean, you just can't do that.
It's so true.
Oh, Curly.
Yeah.
Jack. But yeah, and I think the big thing with this team is the injuries. I mean, we've seen it like you were just saying. As soon as Jack gets injured, this team forgets how to play. I mean, they need to be able to withstand that and move forward and not just go on these droughts. I mean, and that's a big thing too, with Timo. I know Nico, ended up the year, 28 goals and, 66, 67 points, which is, right around his average, what we expect. But he did have a number of streaks there, like 8, 9, 10 games where he was going, goalless. And if Jack is out, that needs to be fixed. Nico glaring. Does a lot of things, we know, offensively and defensively. The dude is a beast in the face-off circle. The first player in however many years to win the 1,000 face-offs in a game, in a season. He does so much. But yeah, the Timos, the Jesper Bratts, the Dawson Mercers,
disappear.
Yeah, they need to, get those goals. And I know Timo doesn't get that PP one time, which I think eats into his goal total, but man, something else has just got to be done with that. And that fourth line was just a pit. Like the entire year, you went from Glending. Mm-hmm. I liked what, Bustad at least brought some size and everything, but, better than Glendening. But Paul Cotter had a majorly disappointing year. Stefan Nason,
abysmal year,
basically hurt all year.
Yeah.
And then, so it's bad. I mean, he went from a career year to just nothing.
LTIR. Yeah, that was the problem too, is Nason being out for a good majority of the year. Not the entire year, but the good majority of the year, I think was detrimental to that fourth line. But once again, you had guys, who the hell was that? I can't even remember. Who was the guy that Fitzy brought in this year? He played one game, got hurt. McEwen?
Oh, Zach McEwen. Yeah, he traded
Zach McEwen.
McDermott. Yeah.
Yeah. But he came in the lineup, and everybody's like, oh, look at this guy. He's great. Boom, hurt. And we're like, oh, that sucks. He was doing all right. Comes back, and he has, I think he had a goal in the game that he came back, and everyone's like, oh, he's great. And then he got hurt again, and it's like, oh. And he's gone forever. So, from top to bottom, the team needs a thorough evaluation. Hopefully Sonny Meta and his team, whoever it is, sits down and takes a good look. It will be interesting to see what happens on Tuesday, because Tuesday is the introductory not conference. What the hell word? My brain is absolute hamburger meat right now.
What?
His introduction to the team, official introduction.
Oh, Sonny.
News conference.
Yeah.
News conference. Jesus.
Yeah. Press conference.
So his press conference,
press
news
conference.
conference, press
Yeah.
conference, whatever it is.
By the way,
green jacket, gold jacket.
ahead.
Who gives it? No. That's it.
Okay. By the way, now I know we've been focusing in on Hellebuck and things like that, and how can you make that happen? Keep your eye on a former staff member at the New Jersey Devils, and now is running a pretty good show in San Jose, Mr. Greer. In his exit interview for the Sharks, they have 2 first-round picks. Would be open to moving either or of those. Could there be something there with San Jose, maybe as a third team, making some magic happen? Who knows? Just saying, throwing it out there. Greer has said definitely be open to moving those 2 picks, which you never know. You never know what can happen with that.
Yeah, but that team is listen, Celebrini and that team this year. I thought they were going to make
Smith.
playoffs for sure. That team is
really
on the up and up and up and up and up. And I think he might be transitioning from we need to draft into all right, the window is starting to open for them, where maybe he's going to take those draft picks and look for guys that are going to be impactful right away. Listen, there's a couple guys on the Devils that are subject to change and subject to move and all that kind of stuff. You have Mercer, Hamilton being the top 2 on that list. Timo Meier, as much as I love Timo, and yes, I believe he has the no movement or no trade because everybody does. There's loopholes in a lot of those things, and a lot of the no movements and no trades. Sometimes it's like a 5-team. Sometimes it's, in Markstrom's case, it's a 20-team. So I'm curious to see what kind of things happen. There's been rumors of Nico Hischier for Dylan Larkin, for crying out loud, which I love Dylan Larkin, but I'm not a fan of that move. I would not do that move. I know there's a lot of people that prefer Dylan Larkin over Nico, but I would rather have Nico Hischier on a team.
I would much rather have Nico Hischier. Yeah, 100%.
Just injury.
Listen, I don't want
injury concern and things like that, and age difference and things like that too as well. But
I think with Nico, with his contract, and we talked about it, that's where the discussion, comes to the forefront about him possibly being moved because he is at the end of his contract here. Maybe they try to do something, a shakeup. I would prefer that Nico stayed on the team, personally. But
Same.
if there was like a team that was on the up and up that, was inquiring and, like we said, like a Colorado or something like that came inquiring about him and he goes like, yeah, I'd like to go there, then out of respect for him, I would say, see if you can work a deal. But I don't know, for Nico, like that seems like it would be like a Quinn trade, but in that sense too, just wait and just sign Quinn in the off season, but I think personally, it would be great to lock Nico up. But there are some moves that I think can be made. I don't think Dawson Mercer will be back, like you were saying. I don't think Nemitz will be back. And I see our man Jay Snow here saying, we can't develop, we have to win now. This team can't even get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
How are we going to win now? We're not ready to win now. We thought we would be, but we're not. There's so much work that needs to be done on this team. They need to get it. They can't beat Carolina.
No.
There's a lot of stuff that's got to be done. So, yeah, I mean, and we're still in the process. Gritsuk, Hamanaho.
Yeah, well, that's another. Luke. Gritsuk is another contract that needs to be sorted out too. There's a lot of things to do, man. Hey, listen, it's about that time that we get to the wrap it up section of the night where we give our final thoughts. And I'm just gonna kind of just jump right into it. Although the Devils are not in the playoffs, this is my favorite time of year. This is my absolute favorite time of year. You have baseball season just starting. Sorry for all you Mets fans, but I'm not one of you. So.
It already ended.
Oh, God, that's wow. 11 in a row.
11 in a row, yes.
Not trying to rub it in, just saying, wow. Wow. Oh, man, it's really bad out there. So you have the beginning of baseball season. You have the NFL draft and all that excitement going around that with the Giants trading Dexter Lawrence and getting the number 10 overall pick, which is wild. So they'll have 2 first-round picks, 5 and 10. You have the NHL playoffs, which is the best playoffs. Sorry, NBA, but you're not even close to reaching the level of excitement and intensity and amazement that is the NHL playoffs. It is one of the only sports that I will, outside of football, because it's one game each time, but one of the only sports that if my team is not in the playoffs, I will still watch almost every single game. I'm rooting for the Buffalo Sabres to go all the way because that would be amazing. Awesome for Buffalo. Awesome for Lindy Ruff. Awesome for that
I think it's
city
Ruffalo, actually.
Ruffalo, yeah. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to be watching all the rounds closely, watching all the things that are going on. It is still the most exciting time of year, and absolutely nothing beats playoff hockey. So just wish our boys were in it. That's all I got to say about that. Damn it, Boston's winning.
Exactly. And Jay Snow, if you trade for those picks, you can trade them again. That's the idea. If you want to get a player who's already established that we can put on this team, who's not, 35 years old. No offense to anyone who's 35 years old out there. I'm much older than that.
So I wish I was.
I wish I was 35. Yeah. But if you say you do grab one of those San Jose picks, you move like a Nemitz, maybe a Mercer for something like that, then you could also flip that again for maybe someone a little bit more prominent in the scoring range and get some of that help that we desperately need on the bottom half of this team, bottom 6 of this team. So that's my thinking of it. Just if you're getting draft picks doesn't mean that you're rebuilding. It means you can flip them again to someone else and get an asset that's now ready to go. Just throwing it out there. My final thought is looking forward to the sunny era. Hopefully, it's always sunny in Newark. We got. Someone's got to get Danny DeVito back there to do some stuff now that we got a guy named Sonny, as the GM of this team. We got to get Danny DeVito back to the Rock and do some Frank Reynolds for us. But hopefully it stays sunny in Newark. And I'm excited and, ready to hear that press conference next week. I'm sure it won't be anything, too major, but just excited to see, get a sense of his personal excitement for being on the team and what he's looking forward to, and maybe some of the, areas that he is looking to address right away, whether it be player development, scouting, coaching, or whatever it is. Maybe we'll start getting a little glimpses of that. And I think the Devils made the right call here with Sonny. I really do. And I think this is going to be a really positive thing for this team for the long run.
Agreed.
And thank you to Mr. Barron of the beer here, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the man of the hour, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, Sam by God Woo, who's been running things behind the scenes. Don't forget, Sam is trying to swindle himself into the New Jersey Devils beat reporter. So go to NJ.com and X and Instagram and everything and say, I want the woo. Request the woo. Can you imagine Sam Woo in those press conferences? Holy hell. Yeah. He's going to get those credentials rejected. There's going to be like, not this guy. He's going to be like, don't let this man enter the building. But no, go help our boy Sam out if you can. Thank you to everyone on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook as well for all the likes, comments, follows, and subscribes. Keep them coming. Always love your chirps. And yeah, maybe we'll meet up after the Sunny press conference on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a little more discussion. Yeah.
I like that.
And we'll
idea.
love to hear more. I'd love to hear more what you think about the idea of Connor Hellebuck possibly coming to town, if you are in favor or not. Let us know. Say hello on the socials. And I think that's about it. Until next time, unless you have any other final words?
Nope.
There you go.
Except